There we are. Hello again. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Lindsay Calder-Recknell. I am your productivity ninja for today. And the next 30 minutes, we are going to talk about how to deal with overwhelm. I don't know if this is a thing that resonates with all of you, but it's absolutely someone that resonates with, or something that resonates with me. I feel a lot of overwhelm all the time. As we get started this morning, I'd love for you to share with us in the chat where you're coming from. We have 13 folks here so far, 12 folks including me, and I look forward to welcoming some other people, and it'd be helpful if we could get a sense of where you were coming from. That would be awesome. As I mentioned, I'm a productivity ninja. That's my actual job title. I think it's one of the best jobs that I have because I get to have conversations like this, teaching really practical, logical, tactical things around productivity. All of our workshops and our trainings here at Productivity Ninja or at Think Productive come from this book that you can see on the screen, How to Be a Productivity Ninja, written by Graham Alcott. Honestly, we are in a work revolution where we are trying to help everyone to love Mondays, to love much as the rest of us do. It is possible. I promise you, it is possible to love Monday, even if you maybe don't are struggling with your job at the minute. Since 2009, we have been challenging people's thinking. We've been really inspiring and equipping people with the tools to change the way they work for the better. We are all about the psychology of productivity before the technology. Technology is just tools. Really, it comes down to the mindset and how we use these tools that is going to be the most effective thing for us. And truly, when we're talking about, well, that is one of the things is it comes down to mindset. It comes down to finding some habits and routines, using the tools to our best advantage. And that is how we can conquer this overwhelm. When we're talking about the language of overwhelm, what do we even mean? So we're going to start there. This 30 minutes is broken up into three parts. We'll talk first about what overwhelm is, why it happens, and then the strategies and tools on how to deal with it like a ninja. I absolutely want this to be an interactive session. So as I share some of the strategies and tools and tips and things like that, if you have stuff to add, please do. You can either use the Zoom electronic hand up if you have something that you'd like to say out loud, and then I can invite you into the conversation, or please use the chat. There is, we've definitely all done this for the last number of years, and so please use all the tools again that we have available to us and add your voice to the conversation. I think that's some of the beautiful part about doing these live is that we can learn from each other as well. And heaven help us if I have to, if I'm the only voice you hear for the next 30 minutes or the only thoughts that you hear for the next 30 minutes. So please contribute to the conversation as well. All right, so let's jump into what is overwhelm? What is it that we think about when we talk about overwhelm? Especially when we are thinking about it from a productivity ninja perspective. To start off with, I'd love to know from you, when does overwhelm come up for you? When does it strike usually for you? I will tell you that overwhelm happens for me when the to-do list is this long and then all of a sudden somebody else's to-do list becomes my problem. That is when overwhelm happens for me, when I feel like things are outside of my control. Anyone want to share what happens for them? So I'm looking in the chat, big to-do list that you need to prioritize. Yeah. Sunday late afternoon. What do we call that? The Sunday scaries? I've heard that lots of times before. Yeah, when multiple tasks happen at the same time. When the inbox sits at 100 unread emails. Sarah, I have a course for you. It's called Inbox Zero, and it is fantastic. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, when that unread emails, yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. All of those things resonate with me. I can imagine that they're resonating with so many of you as well. This is the definition of overwhelm as sort of commonly accepted. There's a quote on the right-hand side that I really like that comes from the Harvard Business Review, HBR. Overwhelm being this cognitive impact of feeling perpetually overwhelmed. Verb, to bury or drown beneath a huge mass of something. That mass of emails, that mass of tasks, that massive to-do list, and all of the things. When we have too many demands on our thinking over an extended period of time, cognitive fatigue happens. Is that a physical response that you experience when you're feeling overwhelmed as well? Is that fatigue sets in when your brain feels too tired to function? That's something that definitely happens to me. And the impact of it is that we're prone to distractions, right? Shiny squirrel syndrome shows up a lot, and it helps to make our thinking less agile. We actually become less creative thinkers, less innovative when we're in this state of overwhelm. We literally can shut down and sort of get into that sense of paralysis from an action perspective. The reason is because of this thing we call the lizard brain. So this is our amygdala. This is the most ancient part of our brain, where when we are in this lizard brain place, this is our fight, flight, or freeze response. The lizard brain says, nope, not doing it. I have to protect you. There's danger here. All of those emails and tasks are going to attack me, are going to cause me harm. And so I'm going to protect you, and I am going to fight, I'm going to freeze, or I'm going to fly away. I'm going to flight. It actually shuts down the prefrontal cortex in our brain, the PFC. And it's the PFC that is it's the most executive functioning part of our brain. It's actually the most evolved part of our brain. But because our amygdala, our lizard brain is the thing that we've had the longest, that is wanting to keep us safe, it actually has the power to override our executive functioning and stop us from thinking clearly. So fascinating and terrifying. Our brains are very, very powerful, and that lizard brain is absolutely the impact of it. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Kirkpatrick, I'm just going to put you on mute there. Thank you. All right. So why does this happen? Why? Why? Let's talk about why we do it. Because we get stuck in the doing. If we're to take it further, we typically will do what's easy, or the thing that's shouting the loudest, right? The squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak, whether that's a human or a task. It's easy for us to do the stuff that we can do without thinking, because it's like that instant gratification, right? If we can check off the things that feel easy, we don't have to override our brain's natural way of being to do harder things. But when we're doing those easy things, when we get to this place, we're actually operating from that stress level. We're often not doing what matters most or has the impact. We're just doing. And sometimes that's okay, because that's survival, right? But we want to use some of these strategies and tips we're going to talk about today so that we can move from just surviving to thriving. So we can override that lizard brain default of trying to save us from those emails and move us back into having that executive function, that PFC, back in control of our behavior and of our thinking. The lizard brain really needs to be taken care of. It's natural for it to try to keep us safe, but we can deal with it in a productive way. So let's talk about how we can deal with it like a ninja. How can we deal with it like a ninja? Here are some top 3 tips for dealing with the overwhelm. First, we're going to breathe. I know this feels ridiculous. And if you are someone like me, breathing can feel awkward and uncomfortable and hard, but I promise you, it is amazing. Breathing has the power to increase all of those feel-good chemicals in our brain. It actually lowers the stress response in our body, and it can interrupt our nervous system in a really positive way. I just like to actually take 30 seconds here and just breathe. Can we do that together? Think about, before we do this, think about where you're at right now. Think about where your energy bars seem to be. You know, maybe you're operating up here. Your frequency is a little bit high. Now we're going to take 30 seconds and we're just going to breathe. You can close your eyes, you can leave them open. but just focus on your breathing, and then we'll do a self-assessment on how we feel afterwards. With me? We can do this. Okay, 30 seconds and go. That was it. 30 seconds of breathing done. Now take a little self-assessment and let me know how that frequency is now. Is it a little bit lower? Are you feeling a little bit, you know? I can see some head nods, and if you want to use your Zoom behaviors there, please absolutely do that also. It's amazing how 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes can really impact the way that our mind is functioning. Breathing resets that amygdala. It tells your lizard brain that it's okay, we can take a break, we can take a pause, let's reassess, let's feel how it feels, and it can actually restart our prefrontal cortex. It doesn't have to be a long period of time to start that positive effect. I like to do this at stoplights. It seems ridiculous. And also don't do it with your eyes closed when you're doing it at stoplights, but that 2 or 3 minutes can just be enough to reset. There's a box breathing exercise that I like to do. One of the things they say about breathing, these breathing exercises, is that it's really effective if you can breathe in for like 2/3 of the time that you breathe out. So as an example, if you do a box breathing exercise, breathing in for 4 seconds and out for 6 seconds. And as you're breathing in, sort of visualize your eyes moving down the side of a box for 4 seconds, and then breathe out on the corner for 6 seconds. So it's like visualization and breathing at the same time. And if you can do that, breathe in, down, breathe out on the corner, breathe in on the bottom, breathe out at the corner, etc. Takes, maybe a minute, minute and a half. By the time you've done that whole box, your nervous system has been reset. You've reset that amygdala, you've kicked that prefrontal cortex back into its higher functioning power. Anybody have thoughts about breathing? Is this a tactic that you use? Maybe now you felt like how it can be beneficial just in 30 seconds, if it's something that might be useful for you. I'd love to hear some thoughts about that if you have any. Gwen's got some thumbs up. Thank you. All right. Well, maybe it's something you're going to try here moving forward. One of the other things that we like to talk about is emptying your mind. This one's really hard for me. This one's really hard for me. Mindfulness is a thing that I have to practice. Fortunately, it's a skill that I get to practice, but it is really hard to empty my mind. One of the mindfulness teachers that I know and love, she talks about how it's not really about the empty mind that matters, but it's the being present in the moment. So when you're thinking about emptying your mind, there's lots of different ways to think about it. Being present is one of them. I sometimes think about that black box, as empty as there's nothing in there. One of the other things we like to talk about when we talk about emptying your mind here at Productivity or at Think Productive is getting all of this stuff out of our head, like literally stopping and using what we call our second brain. I love this. This is the good representation of how I feel. Does this seem familiar to anyone, right? We're overwhelmed, we're distracted, that constant noise in our head, especially if I'm in a conversation or if I'm in a meeting and I'm maybe not as engaged as I should be. Never happens, of course. But if I'm not as engaged as I should be, the to-do list that's running through my head is super distracting. But if I can empty my mind, I can literally do a brain dump of all of this information. We can capture all of this noise. it can be an absolute game changer. If we can do this, if we can capture the noise onto a list, we can feel more in control. The worry that we're forgetting something absolutely is reduced, and we might actually find that there's fewer things that actually matter once we can sort of see it on paper, on sticky notes, in a to-do list somewhere. Keeping stuff in your head makes the load feel bigger. It actually makes everything feel louder and maybe more dramatic than it actually is. So here's an activity I'd like us to do. If you have a whole bunch of stuff in your head right now, let's do it. Let's do a brain dump. Let's do an activity that explores what's filling up our heads and how it might be affecting us, figuring out what we might do about it. So let's take, 2 minutes here and get out a pen and paper, open a Word document on your screen. If you've got a bunch of sticky notes, that works really well as well. Let's spend 2 minutes and just get that noise out of our head. Put the things down that you're thinking about right now. Sound good? 2 minutes starting now. All right, that was 2 minutes. How did that feel? Please share your experience with us.
I can share something. I found that when I started writing like stuff about my job and realizing my next thought was, but the I have good insurance at my job and I'm having health issues, and then my relationship with my friend Michelle, and I have to lose weight. Like it wasn't like the sticky notes. It was like this train of thought. Um which felt good. And then, want to take time off. And then, my dog sitter was retiring, what to do with the dog. So I don't know. That surprised me. I thought maybe I was going to be able to list my work to dos.
But isn't
With
it
so much
cool?
more.
Like,
Yeah.
I just find it so cool when that stuff happens because I think sometimes we don't recognize the volume of space that it's
Yeah.
all taking up in our head, right? And so when we take the time to do kind of that stream of consciousness writing, that's exactly those kinds of insights is exactly what this kind of activity is intended to highlight. That's awesome, Liz. I appreciate you sharing that. And hopefully maybe it feels a bit lighter now that it's kind of you can see it. Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I can see Rhonda wrote in the chat about including work activities and personal tasks. Um, Carmen saying that they feel like they're more confident that you can get them all done. And Carmen, is that because they were really big and loud in your head, and now that they're on paper, like, oh, maybe this is going to be okay. There's not as many as I expected. I don't know if you'd like to expand upon that. And anybody else, what was that experience like for you? Well, I'm hopeful that you've all had a really positive experience just in that 2 minutes. Imagine, if you gave yourself time and permission, space and permission to do that on the regular for any longer period of time, get into a habit around doing that. I think that would be a productivity ninja move for sure. I can see Karen's written in the chat here about feeling better, at least now able to visualize things more clearly, and a little reminder might have helped keep track. Yeah, really super valuable. Oksana is talking about when you get it on paper in front of you, it feels like you're more in control. Yeah, that when it's in our head and sort of messy, it's a lack of it's a perceived lack of control. But when we have it on sticky notes or on a to-do list or sort of visually in front of us, cognitively, it's much more easier to see what's possible. Carmen, yeah, afraid you might miss them if you keep them in your head. And you spend so much time worrying about missing them and going over them and sort of duplicating that brain power, trying to remember that when you can get them into what we at Think Productive call our second brain, when you can get that out of your head and into trust that you have this second brain place where all of this information is, you can use that cognitive thinking for so much more important things. Oh, Rhonda's talking about that it's helpful in the middle of the night if you can't sleep. Nailed it. Brilliant. Keeping a notebook in your bedside table, I hate to say keep your phone, but your task list if you're an electronic note keeper, getting it out of your head, even if it's 3 in the morning and you think, gosh, I should be sleeping. That's a really helpful way to again, just quiet the noise in your head. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. I love to hear these things. Um, we talk a lot at Think Productive about boss thinking versus worker thinking. This is boss thinking, that exactly what we're talking about. This is using that higher level cognitive power to plan, to be proactive. And now that you have, all of your thoughts and potentially your tasks on your sheet there, maybe you can expand that into more boss thinking, into this daily checklist idea. The more boss thinking we do, the more we make space for the impactful work, the better and more productive, there we go, the more productive we're going to be able to do. A checklist that looks like this or looks like something else can be really, really helpful. I like this Zen-like calm checklist. So that's one of our productivity ninjas, Zen-like calm. I like this checklist in particular because it covers a lot of different sort of aspects of our life, right? It has us look back. Is there anything that we carried over from yesterday that we didn't get done or that needs more work today? Is there any of that we need to think about? That second brain, is there anything in that second brain that we need to add to the top of the priority list today for today's actions? Choose 5 priority tasks for the day. Sometimes 5 can feel a lot. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 1, depending on your capacity and how your energy levels are feeling today. But are there some priorities that if you get them done, fantastic. And if you don't, okay. If you get those things done, you want those things done. Anything else is just kind of bonus. That kind of level of thinking can feel really nice. Check your calendar. What's coming up? What do you need to prepare for? Add any actions back to that second brain. Where's the friction? What are you resisting? And what help can you get from someone else? What kind of help do you need? Kind of a helpful review as well. And then, how do I feel today? How's your energy bars? And give yourself permission to do things according to your energy as well. If you aren't feeling awesome, maybe you give yourself a little grace. If you're feeling super energetic and motivated, maybe that priority list does become 5 tasks or even more. Use that energy monitor to really set your day up for success. And then there's that process emails. Get your inbox to zero. And if that feels terrifying, I have a course for you. It's called Inbox Zero. We can talk more about that. I promise you it's possible. An activity to take away from today is doing some boss thinking around friction. Can you pinpoint the primary source of your overwhelm? Is it a person? Is it a task list? Is it a project? Where is the overwhelm coming from? Are you a perfectionist? Challenge that perfectionist. Is perfection the enemy of what's the word? Perfection the enemy of productivity? Possibly, in my case, a lot of times. Who can help us? How can we outsource and delegate to reduce that load? And what boundaries can we set? Can we set some focus time? Can we block our calendar to do some of this boss thinking, this proactive work? Also, if you have those, maybe you did some sticky notes, or if you have things that are coming up, a project you're planning, could you put them on this chart? Can you prioritize your tasks based on their importance and impact level? If we think about each of these quadrants, I'm going to fast forward to the details of them. So on the top right, it's kind of your most important, high effort, high importance, and high impact. Those are your major goals and projects. These are high value tasks, and they are going to move the needle, but they're not time sensitive. They're stuff that's big and ongoing. High effort takes lots of effort, but high impact as well. If you've got a little bit of time, say you're trying to fill 2 or 3 minutes at the end of a meeting or the end of a project, do these quick wins, high impact, low effort, check them off kind of things. This one can feel really good to our productivity because it's like, yes, I did it, good motivation. Our bottom right quadrant are thankless tasks, stuff that takes a lot of effort, but are low impact, time consuming. These are what we call the eat the frog tasks, the things that may feel awful and you don't want to do them, but you just need to tackle them. Figure out where your best energy is in the day and do these thankless tasks when you're feeling your best. Just tackle them. Focus, time block, focus, get them done. And then on the low impact, low importance, low effort, these are your fill-ins. These are the ones with loose deadlines. If you find yourself, Friday afternoon, everybody's gone home for the day, and you're like, ooh, I'm just gonna hammer out some of these sort of stuff, these niggly things that are hanging out. That's where you can focus those fill-in kind of tasks. As a bonus tip on productivity is to take a break. This feels counterintuitive when we just want to power through. I promise you, you are going to be way less productive when you power through. Seems ridiculous, but it is so true, and science absolutely back it up. If you don't take time for a break, for fun, for some sort of recharge, you are absolutely never going to be able to focus and stay on track. Do that right kind of thinking and that right kind of work. I don't know what fun looks like for you, whether it's recharging on your own, recharging with people, being in nature, spending time, cooking, reading, whatever it looks like for you. But there's absolutely ways that we individually can and should be recharging. So please put some intentionality behind that as well. What are you going to do the next time overwhelm strikes? I've given you a ton of suggestions today. I'm never going to tell you what to do. This is absolutely very, very personal, but hopefully you've got a few strategies that you can take away. I'd love to see in the chat if you'd like to share some of those things with us. Please go ahead and do that. In the meantime, I'm also going to show you this newsletter. Sign up. If this was interesting to you and you'd like to learn more, maybe about Inbox Zero, please go ahead and sign up for that newsletter. We shared secret discounts as well. And you'll be the first to know about any upcoming webinars that are coming up as well. And then last but not least, I would love for you to share your evaluation of how this 30 minutes, how your time was well spent in this 30 minutes. If, of course, it was well spent. Um, when you fill out this evaluation form, you also get access to our academy, our Think Productive Academy, which has tons of resources, workbooks, videos, all sorts of things to really increase your productivity ninja game. So please, I would love for you to share your feedback. My boss hears these, so please be as honest as you can as well, so that I can always continue to get better as well. I really, really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to hear more from you. There's lots of ways to get in touch with us at Think Productive. And yeah, 30 minutes goes by fast. So thank you so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure.